Hey Frag fam, Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. So it is Monday, which means it is time for my weekly fragrance haul. This is the series where I talk about all of the fragrances I acquired throughout the previous week. So this week we actually have 12 fragrances that I got. So this was a pretty massive haul. I hope you guys are looking forward to hearing about these. And if you are, please stick around. But first, let's roll that intro. All right, welcome back. So like I said in the intro, this is my weekly fragrance haul, episode number 6. We got 12 fragrances to talk about, and because of that, we're not gonna get super in depth with any of them. And honestly, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these because of course I just recently picked them up, but I will try to talk about them if I can. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the video with the first fragrance. And starting the video off, we're talking about this fragrance right here. This is coming from Salvatore Ferragamo. This is F Free Time. And I actually lucked out. So I don't know why, but for whatever reason, all of the Rosses around here seem to usually have very bad fragrances. They're all the same stuff that you always see, the Polo Clubs, maybe some of like the Marvel fragrances, if you've ever heard of those. And then like sometimes like Tommy Hilfiger, stuff like that. I've never really seen a Salvatore Ferragamo until this time. So I got really lucky and this was actually the only one they had. And I'd actually been interested in this fragrance for a while. So I went ahead and got it. I think it was $20 for this 100 ml right here. So I absolutely had to jump on that. And honestly, I am really happy with this one. So this has lemon and ginger. I think there's a little bit of pink pepper in here, some cedar and vetiver. It's not overly complicated or complex though. It has a very simple scent. And to me, this smells like lemonade. And I know a lot of people normally refer to Dior Homme Cologne as smelling like lemonade, but this to me really does smell like lemonade. It's lemony and they actually do have an authentic lemon note here. The ginger adds kind of the sweetness and you get a very faint kind of spicy creaminess coming from the pink pepper, but this is absolutely dominated by the lemon and the ginger. So it's bright, it's citrusy, it's sweet, it's got a little bit of the zinginess to it, just really, really nice. I don't think the longevity is that great just based on the scent. And of course the price, usually with these cheaper fragrances, you don't get the best longevity, but for 20 bucks, you can't go wrong. I don't care if this thing lasts 4 hours because this actually does smell really nice. So if you're looking for a lemonade smelling style fragrance, just something easy to wear, very dumb reach, this seems like a really good one based on my experience with it so far. So again, my first pickup, again from Salvatore Ferragamo, that is F Free Time. So my next fragrance pickup, I got on Facebook and it was for basically just a throwaway price, so I hopped on it and I actually hadn't really been looking to buy this one. I had heard of it before and seen it talked about, but it wasn't ever like on my bucket list to buy, but for the price, I just jumped on it. I think I paid $70 for this, and I kind of view this more as a novelty scent because I cannot imagine many situations where I could confidently pull this off, although I do actually personally enjoy the scent. So this one is from the house of Nichane. This is Africa Oliphant. Yeah, this is an intense, heavy leather kind of like animalic fragrance. So this one has notes of oud, leather, there's civet, there's castoreum in here, and then they say there's synthetic civet as well, which I was under the impression that at this point, all kind of animalic notes are synthetic, but they say synthetic civet in here and civet, so maybe there's real civet in here, I don't really know. But based on that note breakdown, you can tell what kind of fragrance this is. It is very dirty, it is heavy, and this is bold. So if you want something like that, this is the fragrance to do it. If I had this fragrance when I made my list of my like top challenging fragrances or my most challenging fragrances, this would have absolutely made the list. Although it really doesn't smell as bad as you might think based on that note breakdown. So to me, I don't get a dirty oud here at all. It's actually medicinal. So you almost get like this heavy kind of like, it's almost like what I would compare to eucalyptus, where it has almost this like minty quality to it, but it's not really mint. It's hard to describe. It's just, if you've ever smelled like a medicinal style of note, that's what you get here with this one, and that's how the oud is coming across. So to me, it's not overly woody, it's not like fecal or anything like that. A lot more of the dirtiness in this fragrance is really coming from those animalic notes and the leather. So this is ultra heavy, ultra potent, very animalic, very intense, but it is a statement maker, and there maybe are a select few situations where you could really pull this off. Definitely not a daily driver fragrance, but like I said, I got it for $70, which for Nichane, and this bottle is basically full. I think the guy said he had sprayed it a few times. I mean, that was just a no-brainer in my eyes, so I went ahead and got it. And I am actually happy I have this in my collection now. So a very unique and intense animalic fragrance. This one is Nichane Africa Oliphant. So my next pickup here is from a house that I've been wanting to dive more into. So I saw this one again for sale on Facebook for a really, really good price. So I hopped on this as well. This is coming from the house of Serge Lutens. This is Ombre Sultan. And this is another one where I'd heard of it before. I think Xerjoff is the most popular fragrance from the house. Everybody talks about that one when they're referring to fragrances from Serge Lutens. And I think this is another popular one from the house. I've seen this one mentioned, not as much as Xerjoff, but I did see this for sale. I had heard about it. And I am also kind of trying to get more into amber fragrances. I'm not a huge amber lover. I have a couple. I have Grand Soir. I have this one now. I'm sure I have some others that I just can't think of, but I am trying to get a little bit more into amber, and this is honestly a pretty nice one. This does have a lot of similarities to Grand Soir to me, although to me I get more of like a woodiness and a pepperiness from this fragrance. To me, Grand Soir is very creamy. It does have kind of a spicy side, but it's a true amber fragrance. This one is definitely a true amber fragrance as well, but like I said, I get very dominant like woody kind of peppery nuances as well with this fragrance. So this is one I'll have to dive into more. Pretty heavy for the warm weather that we're in now, so I'm not going to be able to wear it a ton, but come fall and winter, this will be one that I'll try and pull out more, and a pretty solid amber fragrance from what I can tell so far. So again, this fragrance right here, that is Serge Lutens Ombre Sultan. So for my next pickup, I actually got 3 fragrances in a package. I got these from Nose Paris, which if you guys are not aware, Nose Paris is a retailer based, of course, in Paris, France, but the prices compared to here in the US are insanely good. You can get a lot of the fragrances, which are full retail there, but even less than you'll see them discounted as far as niche fragrances go here in the US. So the European market is really good for prices. Here in the US, we tend to overpay. So I went ahead and bought these because these were all ones that I had been interested in for a while. And then one of them is a brand new release. So when it finally got released, I went ahead and bought it from there. And actually, this is probably the best place you can buy this particular fragrance, the new release that I'm talking about. So we're actually gonna start with that one. The first fragrance, it is this one right here. This is Creed Viking Cologne. And like I said, this is the new release. It just got dropped like a week or 2 ago. And this is a pretty solid fragrance, I guess you could say. I did a first impressions on it and I did like it. I was kind of taken aback, and you guys can watch that video if you want. Maybe I'll link it above with an iCard, but this smelled a lot different than I was expecting. Aventus Cologne, very similar to the original Aventus. Of course, it is fresher. It's got more of a creaminess to it in a way, and it's also a little bit sweeter, but it does smell like Aventus still. This, I basically got 0 of the Viking DNA in the opening. As it dries down, you get a little bit more of it, but here in the opening, it's a lot brighter. It's got more of, not like, I don't want to say like a chemically like cleaner smell, but this kind of reminds me of something in that vein, but I still do really like it. It's just not what I expected. So this is very fresh and citrusy. You do get a little bit of spiciness from some pink pepper, but this is missing the spicy mint note and the rose from the original Viking, which I really loved those aspects of that fragrance. So this one I am not quite as big of a fan of, but I still do like it, and I still am glad that I have it in my collection. So that was the first fragrance from that bundle or that package that I got. The next one is a Kilian that I've been looking to get for a while, ever since I sampled it. It is this one right here. This is Straight to Heaven. And you know, this is honestly, it's such an interesting fragrance. I cannot think of too many situations that I would wear it, but I love it so much at the same time. This has rum, a lot of cedar, and then some dried fruits. And those are the main notes to my nose. Of course, there are more, but even from the atomizer, you get the booziness. And it is a very authentic rum note, which to me, rum, you know, it is alcoholic, but it has kind of a sweet side to it. I'm definitely getting that here. You get the cedar very prominently. Cedar is very distinct, kind of a dry, peppery, woody smell. And then the dried fruits here add a little bit of sweetness. You know, this is just a great fragrance, nothing new. This has been out since 2007, but I'm glad I have it finally in my collection. I think it is really solid, and this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to wearing. So this is probably my 4th Kilian in my collection now, so I'm really glad I have this one. And then the last fragrance that I got, and this is my first fragrance that I've ever bought or owned or tried, whatever, from this house. This one is from Costume National. This is the original And you know, this is an interesting fragrance as well. This has a creamy, kind of sweet, almost heavy side in a way, but it's not an ultra heavy fragrance. I kind of get a barbershop-y feel in a way, but there's no like lavender or oak moss or anything in this fragrance like that. There's no tonka bean. I say this has like 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the present. That's kind of what I think of this fragrance. It has this sophistication that hints at the past, but it smells very modern at the same time. You get cardamom, some citruses in here. There is sandalwood. I think you get some cloves and spices, and I think maybe some of that old smell that I'm getting, or that like that old school smell I should say, is coming from the cloves here. Nonetheless, this is a very great fragrance and a very underrated one at that. For the price that you can get this for, it smells so high quality and so nice. This is really one you guys should check out. So the last fragrance I got in that package, that is Costume National Homme. So my next pickup was a singular fragrance that I did pay full retail for. This is another new release, hence why I had to buy it retail. I was able to use a discount code though, so I did get about 15% off of it, I believe. Nonetheless, I got this mostly to review, although I was interested in what this one was like as well. I did not like the original version of this fragrance at all, so I was hoping for something better here. This one is coming from the House of Armani. This is Acqua di Gio Profondo Lights. And I did a first impressions on this one as well, which I will link that video above as well if you guys want to watch it. And basically just a synopsis and a Cliff Notes version of that video, I suppose. I think this fragrance is okay, I guess. I don't love it. It's wearable for me. It is pleasant, but it's not something that like moved me or was like anything new to my nose. I don't like the original, like I said, and I do prefer this one to that. I think in general, most people will like this better than the original Profondo, but to me, it's not quite as unique, and that sounds kind of strange because I feel like a unique fragrance would maybe be just better, more people would enjoy it, but to me this smells very basic and blue. This really does smell like a blue fragrance. It does have some green touches to it, and that's kind of to me what differentiated this one from the original Profondo. The original Profondo to me was very salty from the mineral notes in there. I honestly get like the smell of sweat from it, which is why I don't really like it. This one has definitely tamed or toned down those salty notes quite a bit, and it's brought up this greenness. You get cypress in here. I think you get some lavender, which adds a little bit of an aromatic touch to it as well. So an okay fragrance, I guess. I wasn't, again, too blown away by it, but I have it in the collection now. So again, from the House of Armani, this is Acqua di Gio Profondo Lights. So for my next pickup, I actually got another bundle. This one was coming from Olfactory Factory LLC, which is owned by a former Facebook seller, and then he made his own discounter fragrance shop. So really solid deals if you guys want to check them out. I'll link them below if I remember. But I actually got 4 fragrances from them. I pre-ordered these, so I've actually been sitting on these for a while. They finally got shipped out and arrived. The first one from this bundle, it is this one right here. This is from the House of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is Aqua Universalis Forte. And you know, this is an okay fragrance as well. This isn't quite what I expected, and honestly I probably should have looked at the notes more before I bought it, but to me this is very white floral heavy. There are citruses here as well, but to me this is more of a white floral fragrance. I also have Aqua Celestia Forte, and I think that one's kind of the inverse. It's more citruses and less florals. There are florals in it though. This one is absolutely dominated by these white floral notes, but you do get a little bit of the citrusy touch as well. Still an awesome fragrance. I still think it is unisex, but this is probably one that I won't gravitate towards quite as much as Aqua Celestia Forte. Nonetheless, I am happy I have it in my collection now. So this is the first fragrance I got in the bundle. Again, that is MFK's Aqua Universalis Forte. And then the next one, this is another fragrance that I have been able to sample before, and I have been interested in it, and they were selling it for an insanely good price. So I jumped on it. This is from the House of Ormond Man. This is the original Ormond Man. And this is a really interesting, unique kind of, I would say signature scent. I think you could wear this year round. It does have lighter aspects, but has this heavier quality as well. And this is signature scent worthy. This is a very interesting woody fragrance. So you get cedar in here. There is oud as well. There's sandalwood. So you get a lot of different woody aspects here. To me, the oud is very clean. I think it really is more dominated by the the cedar, and then the sandalwood. The cedar provides this kind of pepperiness, but the sandalwood adds this creamy aspect to it, also backed up by some pink pepper, again adding kind of a creamy side to it. There is also a lot of citruses here, so it does have this kind of bright, vibrant side, which is why I think you could wear this in the warmer weather as well. This is a very interesting fragrance, and one that you guys should definitely check out from this house. A really good entry-level fragrance for this house. It kind of gives you a feel of what they're about. They kind of tend to produce heavier scents with a very light take on them, if that makes any sense at all. If you've tried these fragrances, then you know what I'm talking about. I'll just leave it at that. So again, from the House of Ormond Man, this is Ormond Man. And then I got 2 more fragrances, and these are actually both xerjoffs. So the first one, it is this one right here. This is Uden. I was blanking the name for a sec. And this is an awesome, awesome fragrance. This is really interesting as well because it starts off very light and citrusy, but as it develops, it does kind of get a creamier and I think woody side. And honestly, I do not remember the notes in this fragrance, but all I can say is it does smell really awesome. And this is a fragrance that really does develop. And I would say, at least from the ones that I've tried, this is probably my favorite fresh fragrance from this house. Like I said, it does develop and get a little bit heavier. So not a complete freshie, but it definitely is a fresher fragrance for this house. And like I said, the best one that I've tried. So again, from the house of xerjoff, this is Uden. And then the last fragrance from this bundle that I got, again from xerjoff, this one right here is More Than Words. And I did not actually look into the notes for this one at all before buying it. I completely blind bought it off of recommendations of a few reviewers, and I actually am pleasantly surprised. This is a oud rose fragrance, but to me, they've done something a little bit different here that's really hard for me to pinpoint. I think there's dried fruits in this fragrance, which adds a nice kind of sweet fruitiness, of course, and it's just a nice take on the oud rose DNA. This thing is absolutely potent. I have not been able to wear it yet because, again, it is very hot out, and this is not something that I would feel comfortable wearing in this high of heat, but I did do a test spray, and all I can say is that that little spray that I did was absolutely projecting off my skin. I think I was testing some other fragrances as well, but this is the only one that I could really smell. So this is absolutely an amazing, very loud oud rose fragrance with like a fruity touch as well, and it was my last pickup from that bundle. So again, here from the house of xerjoff, this is More Than Words. And finally, for my last pickup, this is a fragrance that I got off of Facebook. And actually, I got this from one of you guys, one of my subscribers. So we did a swap. This is a house that I have not owned any fragrances from as of yet, until this one, of course. And it is a house that I have been interested in. They're kind of known for these weird, wacky, bombacious fragrances. This one I would say is probably on the more wearable side of the house as far as fragrances, but it is still a very interesting fragrance at the same time. This is from the house of tltg d'Orange, and this is Exit the King. And this is a really strange fragrance as well, I'm not gonna lie. I cannot think of too many situations when I could wear this. It isn't unwearable by any means. This is not like a Secretions Magnifique where it's completely a novelty fragrance, but there is something very artistic here. There's probably a story behind it that I do not know at all, but what I can say is it has this herbal quality. It's kind of clean at the same time. It's kind of airy. This has an actual soap note, they're saying, which I don't really know what they're using to create that accord, but it says there's soap in here. There's also oak moss. There are some aldehydes and then some other greener notes as well. I think there's some white florals in here as well. So this is kind of a clean green fragrance, but it has this kind of funkiness to it as well that's really hard for me to say. Nonetheless, a very interesting fragrance, and this is my first fragrance from this house. So again, the last fragrance I picked up for the week from tltg d'Orange, this is Exit the King. Well, there you guys go. That was my weekly fragrance haul, episode 6. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, or if you found it useful or helpful maybe, I would really appreciate dropping a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos on YouTube. Additionally, if you want to write a comment, maybe just letting me know your thoughts, as well as some new video ideas or topics, that would be great too. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you've not already, if you could hit the subscribe button and then the bell notification, that would be amazing. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.